The campaign pitch, No More Crappy Childhoods, Raising Physically and Emotionally Healthy Citizens, actually was inspired by a 1998 CDC and Kaiser Permanente health study. And the study basically ended by saying if everybody doesn't learn about adverse childhood experiences, then the world is going to be a pretty crappy place, because there are going to be so many people leaving childhood with trauma, abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction that their nervous systems will not be able to function like a normal adult, and society will not be ready to handle them, right? So we have all these young adults that are leaving childhood, and obviously there is a number of consequences associated with ACEs. So our goal for this project is to find 10,000 people, and to get those 10,000 people to attend a summit and to learn what qualifies as a crappy childhood, excessive ACEs for us, and then show them how to get help for themselves, how to break generational cycles, and then even to how to keep the conversation going. Like, refer a friend. If we get access to these people, 10,000 people will help us meet our 1 million goal by 1%. And we think 1% is a small percent of the population, but with word of mouth, we can end generational ACEs. There's a question that I get asked often when it comes to ACEs Matter, and it normally is, what problem does ACEs Matter solve? And I love this question because I typically will put it back on people, and I will say, I want you to imagine that there was a parent who had children, whose children had children, and all three of them from that family grew up in what one would consider a crappy childhood. That means we have 3 generations of family members leaving home under the conditions of trauma. That means most, if not all, of their future decisions and their belief system will be influenced by trauma. A pattern of trauma creates adults without direction that may cause harm to themselves or others. So the opposite does the opposite, and all it takes is a conversation. So what problem does ACEs Matter solve? So when we start the conversation about ACEs, we close a knowledge gap. The conversation on ACEs can save millions of lives and billions of dollars. Word has it that knowledge is king and compassion is queen. So our stories and conversations close this gap. So starting the conversation gives everyone a choice of where to turn and not have to find out at a copy machine. The market size question and the opportunity. I'm not actually happy to say that I'll be in business forever. But the truth is, I'll be in business forever. This company will be needed forever. The conversation that we have, unfortunately, with the way things are looking, will be needed forever. Because 6 out of 10 people that you run into will have experienced at least one of these ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, abuse, neglect, or household dysfunction. Some sort of childhood trauma, whether it's captured in those 10 questions or not. 6 out of 10, okay? And then 1 out of every 6 would have had 4 or more of them. That means they had a crappy childhood, right? And so the data suggests that intergenerational trauma is strongest amongst those who live below the poverty line. Yeah, so it's unfortunate to admit that this business will be in business forever. The battles that we face with trying to educate people who have disrupted nervous and digestive systems is massive. But the option to not do it is unacceptable. So millions of people in the world don't know they need the information we have, and our goal is to create robust ways to bring the information into their communities. The conversation is an opening. The other favorite question that I like to answer is the one that asks, what is your company about? What is your product about? And how does it solve the problem? And with ACEs Matter being 29 months old, going on 30 months, I realized that the company is about getting the information out there, just hitting go. We'll worry about being perfect later. And then our product is an accessible conversation. And that accessible conversation may include our personal stories. And here's our superpower. We can predict the future. That adverse childhood experience study basically gave us the tools to predict the future by having people answer 10 to 15 questions about their childhood. So if ACEs can be predicted, ACEs can be prevented. So the data says an intolerable amount of young adults are entering society having experienced childhood trauma, and the world is not ready for them. The mental and physical states of people who raise children will forever control what happens next. And so no child should leave home with ACEs, but since it feels inevitable, we got to prepare for them. And I guess if prisons and welfare systems can build in preparation for these people, so can healing communities. So the question, why are you seeking funding and how will you spend it? I am seeking funding because I ain't got the money in my bank account to do it myself. I love that question. I'm seeking funding because I'm bored. No, honestly, seeking funding because the well, we could do things a lot better if we had more money in the well. We've been doing them okay, but we know that we can go from good to great if we had access to more funds. And I'm seeking funding because of my own personal story. And if my story is like that, I know based on just the work that I've done in 29 months, there's more people that need this information that we have. Here's what I'm saying. 79 family members, 5 generations on my maternal side. We share 660 adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. The average ACE score of those 79 family members across 5 generations is an 8.5. You round it up, it'll be an 8.6. That means 5 generations of people have really crappy childhoods. Where there are world issues, there are probably ACEs. And we are seeking funding because America is only as strong as its weakest link. And some of today's weakest are weak because of their childhoods. One team, one score. No story lives unless someone wants to listen, and those who tell the stories rule the world. Children are being asked to be resilient in unresilient environments. Starting this conversation could change that. If we could reach 10,000 people because of the funds raised on this platform, we would be able to bring 10,000 new people to the awareness of their adverse childhood experience and resilience score. We would be able to support the infrastructure and the robust marketing campaign so that every single person that we come in contact with has an opportunity to learn about ACEs and make their own decision of where to turn next for their generation, for their community, and for even their immediate family. This project will be able to be executed by a project manager under the direction of the founder, me, Cindy Stanford. I'm excited to bring my people on, and I do hope that you all see the value in supporting this grassroots project that means so much to me and the world we live in. Thank you.